Girl runs out crying to garbage man. Minutes later police shut down the street. After heroically saving a girl from her abusive father, the garbage man believed the nightmare was finally over for the traumatized family. However, the abusive ex-husband, furious over his arrest, still blamed them and would stop at nothing, using his wealth and influence to try and get his daughter back. The fragile sense of safety the mother and daughter had started to rebuild would soon be shattered by an unforeseen turn of events. Before we dive into part 2 of this incredible story, let us know where you're watching from, and don't forget to subscribe if you're enjoying it so far. As the early morning light crept over the horizon, Marcus Taylor pulled into the garbage collection depot. The events of the previous day still weighed heavily on his mind, a whirlwind of drama that had disrupted his normally routine day. While clocking in, the admin at the front desk informed him that the manager wanted to see him. A ripple of anxiety stirred in Marcus's stomach. He'd known this conversation was coming but hadn't expected it so soon. Rehearsing his explanation in his head, Marcus made his way to the manager's office. He understood he'd broken several company protocols, even though his actions had been driven by good intentions. As he approached the office door, Marcus took a deep breath. The implications of this meeting loomed in his mind. Would he still have a job after this? While he believed he'd done the right thing, would his employer see it that way? With a slightly trembling hand, Marcus knocked on the door. A gruff "come in" sounded from the other side, and Marcus steeled himself before stepping inside. "Good morning, sir," he greeted nervously. The manager, a stocky man in his 50s with salt and pepper hair, gestured for Marcus to take a seat. His tone was neutral as he began. "Marcus, I want to hear everything that happened yesterday. I've gotten accounts from others, but I need to hear it directly from you." Taking a deep breath, Marcus launched into his account. He explained how the loosely tied garbage bag filled with brand new items had caught his attention. He described approaching the lady of the house, noticing her distress, and sensing the fear in her daughter's demeanor. Marcus recounted helping the girl as she fled her father and blocking the father's escape from police using the garbage truck. Throughout his recounting, Marcus maintained eye contact with his manager, speaking steadily, confident in the decisions he'd made. To Marcus's surprise, the manager's expression softened slightly as he finished. "Marcus," the manager said, leaning back in his chair, "what you did yesterday was brave. You might have saved lives. But," he continued, his tone turning firm, "I can't have you making heroics a habit. This time, I won't penalize you, but I don't expect to hear about something like this again anytime soon." The manager shifted the conversation to a stern reminder about privacy policies. "You've got to be careful," he warned. "That policy exists not just to protect the public, but to keep you out of trouble. Next time, it might be you facing legal consequences." "I understand, sir," Marcus replied solemnly. "It won't happen again." Satisfied with the response, the manager leaned forward. "Good. Now, there's one more thing. Your regular partner's still out sick, so today you'll be training someone new." As Marcus processed this unexpected announcement, the manager pressed a button on his desk phone. "Send in the new employee," he instructed. Moments later, the office door opened, and a young man stepped inside, his nervous excitement evident. Marcus's eyes were immediately drawn to his striking appearance: dark amber skin, long curly hair tied neatly into a ponytail, and an accent Marcus couldn't quite place. "Hello, I'm Connor," the newcomer introduced himself, his melodic voice carrying a subtle lilt. The manager nodded. "Connor, this is Marcus. He'll be training you today." Turning to Marcus, he added, "Marcus, show him the ropes. Let him drive while you handle collections and mechanic. Make sure he learns the truck's full functionality." With a wave of his hand, the manager dismissed them, leaving Marcus with a pointed reminder. And Marcus, no surprises today. Complete the route on time. As they walked out, Marcus led Connor to their assigned truck, the same one from yesterday's ordeal. The space now felt different with a new partner, creating a subtle tension. "All right, Connor," Marcus said, adopting a professional tone. Let's start with a walkthrough of the vehicle. As Marcus worked to collect the trash, his thoughts wandered to Rachel and Lucy. He couldn't shake the image of the mother and daughter, likely exhausted and overwhelmed, desperately trying to erase the physical reminders of their ordeal. When Marcus began sorting through their discarded garbage, the items told a story. Shattered photo frames, splintered wood, and a broken baseball bat, all stark reminders of the violence they'd endured. Among the trash, he also noticed Dennis's suitcase and clothes, clear evidence of Rachel's determination to purge her ex-husband's presence from their lives. Just as Marcus reached for Rachel and Lucy's trash bins, Kona's voice called out from the cab. Hey Marcus, think I can try operating the mechanical arm? There's a lot of garbage here, so it might be good practice? Marcus hesitated, unsure of how to respond. This house felt different, personal even, given everything that had happened yesterday. Kona noticed his pause and looked curious. Is this the house everyone at the depot was talking about? Marcus nodded slowly. Yeah. Something happened here yesterday. You've probably heard about it. Realization dawned on Kona's face. Oh, I see. If you'd prefer, I can wait to practice on another house. Marcus was tempted to agree but remembered his manager's earlier words about maintaining professionalism. With a deep breath, he shook his head. No, it's fine. This is as good a time as any to learn. Come on, I'll guide you through it. He demonstrated the proper techniques, showing Kona how to maneuver the mechanical arm with precision. Kona was cautious at first, but his confidence grew with each attempt. Eventually, Kona turned to Marcus with a grin. I think I've got the hang of it. Do you mind if I handle the next few houses while you drive? Marcus considered the suggestion. Kona had shown decent progress, and Marcus could use a moment to catch his breath. All right, he agreed, climbing into the cab. But take it slow. We can't afford any accidents. Settling into the driver's seat, Marcus kept a close eye on Kona through the rearview mirror, pleased with how efficiently he handled the collection. But something unusual caught his attention. After finishing the last house, Kona lingered by the mailbox, staring at Rachel's home. Kona, what are you doing? We need to move to the next house, Marcus called out, puzzled. Kona startled and turned to him with a sheepish smile. Sorry. I was just looking at this mailbox. We don't have ones like this in Cuba. Marcus frowned, confused by the explanation. You've never seen a mailbox before? Not like this, Kona replied with a shrug. They're different where I'm from. Before Marcus could respond, movement from Rachel's house caught his eye. Rachel stood in the doorway, her figure framed by the warm morning light spilling from inside. She scanned the scene, her gaze briefly landing on the garbage truck before settling on Kona. Her brows furrowed in slight confusion but softened when she noticed Marcus in the cab. Seeing her, Marcus quickly stepped out, his boots crunching against the gravel as he approached. Good morning, Rachel. How are you holding up? He asked, his tone gentle but concerned. Rachel's lips curved into a faint smile. As well as can be expected. We've been cleaning non-stop since yesterday. Marcus nodded, his expression sympathetic. I could tell, he said, gesturing to the overflowing trash. It looks like you've been thorough. Rachel sighed, brushing a strand of hair from her face. Anything related to Dennis is going. I don't want a single trace of him left in this house. Marcus hesitated, then asked softly, Are you still planning to move to your mother's? Her voice firm, Rachel nodded. Yes. We're packing up now. I'm putting the house on the market as soon as possible. We need a fresh start. Before Marcus could respond, the sound of footsteps drew their attention. Lucy appeared, lugging an oversized trash bag that seemed far too heavy for her. Spotting Marcus, her face lit up. Marcus, I'm glad you're still here. Can we throw this away too? Of course, Lucy, Marcus said with a warm smile. Bring it over, and my partner will handle it. As Lucy moved forward, everything seemed to happen at once. A piercing scream shattered the stillness, freezing everyone in place. Lucy's trash bag hit the ground, spilling its contents as chaos erupted. Before Marcus could react, Kona moved with startling speed. He scooped Lucy into his arms and bolted for the truck. The sound of the cab door slamming shut was followed by the engine roaring to life. "Kona, what are you doing?" Marcus shouted, alarmed, as the truck sped away, Lucy's wide-eyed face visible through the window. Marcus sprinted after the truck, his muscles burning as he pushed himself to the limit. But the vehicle was too fast, disappearing around the corner before he could catch up. Breathless, Marcus turned back toward Rachel's house, his heart sinking at the sight of her collapsed on the lawn, sobbing uncontrollably. Marcus found Rachel still on the phone, her voice breaking as she spoke to someone. When she finally hung up, she turned to him, her tear-filled eyes full of worry. "That was my mother," she said. "She's on her way." Marcus nodded, his mind already racing through possibilities. "Rachel, do you have any idea where they might be taking Lucy?" Rachel's face crumpled as fresh tears welled up. "I don't know. Maybe the airport? Yesterday, Dennis said he'd take Lucy somewhere we couldn't find her." "Oh God, what if he's trying to leave the country? You still have Lucy's passport, right?" Marcus asked. Rachel nodded. "Yes, but remember, he said he has connections." A chill ran down Marcus's spine. If Dennis reached the airport, their chances of finding Lucy would drop significantly. They needed to act fast. At that moment, Marcus's phone rang. He quickly stepped outside to answer, hoping for good news. It was his company. "We've located the truck," the dispatcher said. "It stopped on a roadside just outside of Brightwood. Sending you the location now." Marcus's heart pounded with a mix of hope and fear. "Thank you," he replied, his voice firm. "Please keep monitoring it and notify the police." As he ended the call, Rachel appeared in the doorway, her face streaked with tears but filled with determination. "Where is it?" she demanded. Marcus showed her the location on his phone. The truck stopped just outside of town. "Rachel, maybe you should wait here," but Rachel was already shaking her head. "No. I'm coming with you. That's my daughter out there. I need to be there." Recognizing the fierce maternal instinct driving her, Marcus gave a small nod. "All right. We'll take your car. I'll drive." Moments later, they were racing through the street. Marcus navigated Rachel's car with the precision born of years driving his garbage truck, while Rachel sat tense beside him, her hands clenched tightly in her lap. When they arrived at the location, police cars were already there, their lights flashing. Marcus's heart sank as he realized they weren't the first to arrive. He pulled up behind a cruiser, and they both jumped out. The scene was chaotic. Officers swarmed the abandoned truck, searching for clues. But even from a distance, Marcus could see the truck was empty. There was no sign of Lucy or Kona. Rachel's voice cracked with desperation. "Where are they?" An officer approached them, his expression somber. "Ma'am, are you the child's mother?" Rachel nodded, her voice caught in her throat. The officer spoke gently. "We're doing everything we can to find your daughter. There's some evidence in the truck we're processing now." Just then, another police car pulled up, and a man who clearly commanded authority stepped out. "I'm Detective Johnson," he said. "Mrs. Harper, I'm afraid I have some news that complicates the situation." Rachel's face went pale. "What is it?" The detective hesitated, then said, "Dennis Harper was released on bail this morning." The news hit Rachel like a blow, and she staggered. Marcus quickly moved to steady her. "What?" she gasped. "How is that even possible?" "His lawyer arranged it," the detective explained. "Given this, we must consider the possibility that Mr. Harper is directly involved in your daughter's disappearance." Dennis Connor and the mysterious man were handcuffed as Lucy clung tightly to Marcus, her small body trembling with sobs of relief. Moments later, Rachel burst into the store, and Lucy ran straight into her mother's arms. Their tearful reunion brought a lump to Marcus's throat. Detective Johnson approached, a hint of grudging respect in his expression. "That was a risky move, Mr. Taylor, but I can't deny it paid off," he said. "You might have a future in law enforcement if you ever tire of collecting garbage." Marcus managed a weak smile, wincing at the sharp pain in his jaw. I think I'll stick to garbage, detective. It's usually less exciting than this. As officers began processing the scene, Marcus watched Dennis being led to a squad car. The man's earlier bravado had vanished, replaced with desperation and fear. "This isn't over," Dennis shouted as he was shoved into the vehicle. "I'll be back, and when I am, you'll all pay." Marcus shook his head, dismissing the empty threat. His eyes met Rachel's, and in that moment, a silent understanding passed between them. Whatever challenges lay ahead, this battle was won. Lucy was safe, and Dennis's plans were foiled. As the adrenaline wore off, Marcus felt the exhaustion settle in. His jaw throbbed, and he knew he'd have an impressive bruise in the morning. But seeing Lucy safe in Rachel's arms made it all worthwhile. Inside the store, Detective Johnson oversaw evidence collection. He turned to Marcus, who was leaning against a counter, clearly sore. "Mr. Taylor, are you all right? Do you need medical attention?" "I'm fine, Detective," Marcus replied, brushing it off. "Just a few scrapes. What happens now?" The detective gestured towards a small office behind the counter. "We've uncovered something interesting. Come take a look." Inside the office was a sophisticated setup of computers and equipment for creating fake IDs. "That's Bold Nyans," the detective explained, nodding to the mysterious man in cuffs. "He's running an identity forgery network. Looks like we caught him red-handed." An officer approached with an evidence bag. "Sir, we found this in the liquor store package." Inside was an envelope containing fake identities for Lucy and Dennis. Marcus's eyes widened. So, this was Dennis's plan to disappear with Lucy? "Exactly," the detective replied grimly. "And this could be just the tip of the iceberg. We'll need to investigate the entire chain of liquor stores." As they exited the office, Rachel approached with Lucy in her arms. Her eyes were red from crying, but she stood with a new strength. "Marcus," she said softly, "I don't even know how to thank you. You've saved Lucy twice now." Before Marcus could respond, Detective Johnson interjected. "Mr. Taylor, you've shown remarkable instincts and bravery. Ever consider a career in law enforcement? We could use someone with your sharp mind and kind heart." Marcus blinked, taken aback. I hadn't thought about it," he admitted. "I've always been happy with my job as a garbage collector." The detective nodded thoughtfully. "Well, if you change your mind, let me know. I'd be happy to recommend you to the academy." As the group prepared to leave for the police station to give their statements, Marcus felt a mix of emotions. Relief that Lucy was safe, pride in what he'd accomplished, and uncertainty about what the future might hold. The drive to the station was quiet. Marcus, at the wheel of Rachel's car, glanced at the rearview mirror. Lucy was finally asleep in the back, her ordeal catching up to her. Rachel broke the silence. "I can't believe how elaborate Dennis's plan was. Hiring Ka, arranging fake IDs. It's terrifying how close he came." "It was elaborate but not particularly smart," Marcus replied. "Using a new employee at the garbage company? That was bound to raise suspicion." Rachel let out a nervous laugh. "You're right. Dennis always relied more on his money than his brains." From the back seat, Lucy stirred. "Mom," she called out, her voice small. "Are we really safe now? Can we move somewhere Dad won't find us?" Rachel turned, stroking her daughter's hair. "Yes, sweetheart, we're safe. Tonight, we'll stay at Grandma's, and then we'll figure out what's next." Marcus caught Lucy's gaze in the mirror. "The police have everything they need. Your dad won't be able to hurt you or your mom again." Lucy relaxed slightly, leaning back into her seat. Rachel looked at Marcus, her gratitude clear. "Thank you for everything. I don't know what we'd do without you." When they arrived at the station, Marcus's phone buzzed. It was his manager. "Marcus," the familiar voice said, exasperated yet relieved. "I told you, no drama today." "And yet," Marcus chuckled softly. "I know, sir. I'm sorry. It's been a day." After explaining the situation, there was a long pause. Finally, his manager sighed. "HR's going to have questions about this Connor guy. But Marcus, if the police ever want you, I won't stand in their way." Just don't forget to show up for work tomorrow. Marcus laughed. I'll be there, sir. Good. My office, first thing. As Marcus pocketed his phone, his thoughts swirled. In just 2 days, he'd gone from a quiet life as a garbage collector to helping take down a criminal operation. He wasn't sure what the future held, but for now, he'd done his part. Rachel touched his arm. Ready? Marcus nodded, following Rachel and Lucy up the station step. As they entered, Lucy reached for his hand. He squeezed it gently, knowing one thing for sure: whether collecting garbage or saving lives, he'd always be there to help those in need.